Bay getting set for our main event. As for tomorrow's big fight, Bradley Pacquiao 2, it takes place at the MGM Grand Garden Arena, and that's where Teddy Atlas in the lobby did our fight plan, which we'll check out in just a minute. As for our tail of the tape, it's Ramirez, unbeaten, the age of 22 years old, taking on Giovanni Lorenzo. He's 33, a veteran, trying not to be labeled a gatekeeper in the super middleweight division. Ramirez, many feel, is the future brightest Mexican star. He has a 2-inch reach and height advantage. As for Giovanni Lorenzo, began his career 26-0. Since then, he is 7-6. Is more comfortable at this weight at 168 pounds. Didn't like having to cut that weight to get down to 160. Says he feels strong and says he feels comfortable. Wants to show the young buck that he's still got it. And as for Zurdo Ramirez, that's lefty. 27-0, 21 knockouts, but really has not fought anyone as of note or anyone of note. Tonight, his biggest test yet by far. We'll see if he is the real deal. This is the heaviest he's ever weighed, 168 pounds. As I mentioned moments ago, I jumped the gun. Let's be honest, the MGM Grand getting ready for Pacquiao Bradley 2. Teddy Atlas was there for the weigh-in and for his fight plan in the lobby. Let's get ready for it right now.
I wonder if he's got a good chin or if he's got teeth. Tomorrow night, a southpaw is taking on an orthodox fighter in a title fight. Tonight, in our main event, an orthodox fighter is taking on a southpaw. And no, it's not Pacquiao and Bradley, not yet. It's Ramirez and Lorenzo in our main event. Let's find out who's gonna win. I'll be the southpaw Ramirez. He's taller, he's longer. Quite frankly, he's better. He's gonna control the outside, and he's fighting a fighter in front of him, and Lorenzo, who's gonna look for the right hand. That's his best punch. And against the southpaw, usually that works. But he tips it away. He loops it, but he dips his head a little bit to the left before he throws it. So if you're Ramirez, you see that? Bang! You catch him with that right hook. And if you do that, well, then you can go home and you can cheer for the other southpaw, for Pacquiao, right? That's right. All right, now how does Lorenzo hit the jackpot? Well, he can go inside and play the slot machines. That might be his best bet. Or he can go in town and visit one of the magic shows and find a magician that can teach him how to make the right hand disappear, or at least hide it. Yeah, he's gonna need a trick to win this fight. Let's see what that trick is. Well, first of all, he's fighting a southpaw who's taller, as I said, longer, and better. So he throws a straight right hand. Guess what? It's not gonna land. So he's got to set him up, disguise it a little bit. What he's got to do is slip over here like he's throwing something over here. Go over here, bang, throw the right hand. If you can do that, well, all the bells, all the whistles, when you hit a jackpot, it's all gonna go off. It's gonna go off in your head. Yeah. That's not gonna be fun. No. You feel lucky?
I feel lucky.
Yeah, what do you want to play?
Roulette.
That's a tough game.
Roulette's a tough game to win. Is that what you meant?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Tough game to win. And, but Saul always finds a way to win.
Speaking of gambling here in Las Vegas, the odds on this fight were outrageous. Gilberto Ramirez, despite having never been tested, was a 15-1 favorite over Giovanni Lorenzo, who's been in 2 world title fights.
Rounds. Obey my commands.
Lorenzo said he bet $100 on himself.
Touch gloves. We're gonna sweat though. Let's go to work.
And my question is, if you bet $100 on yourself, are you really showing that you're that confident? Don't you want to bet more than $100?
Don't
That's
bother.
not a huge amount of confidence, no.
No.
Maybe he's not confident because Lorenzo has lost 2 of his last 4, and he's lost 4 of his last 8. Maybe that's why he's not confident. And maybe that's why I feel that Ramirez can dominate and maybe will dominate this fight, even though it's a step up for Ramirez. I mean, Lorenzo has fought 2 times for the world middleweight title, both of them in Germany, and both decision losses. But I think Ramirez has his way tonight. We'll find out. Or does he get tested?
Ramirez coming off a first-round decimation of Don Mouton on February the 1st. But Mouton, again, not much to speak of, a 12-7-1 record entering that contest. So Ramirez certainly in a fight that he's never been in before. Yeah, solid, good competition. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah, the problem with Lorenzo, really, he loses when he steps up in class. And Ramirez, we've been talking about it, he's supposed to represent that next level of class. So, at least the people behind Ramirez believe he's that next level, and that's why they chose Lorenzo. Lorenzo loses at the next level. Well, if Ramirez is the next level, Lorenzo's supposed to lose.
Ramirez, should he win this contest, is predicted to be put on the undercard of the Juan Manuel Marquez-Mike Alvarado fight, May the 17th.
But I like right away what stands out to me, stood out when I was watching tape to get ready for this, Ramirez's size, you know, his body. I mean, the length, the height. He's got power in his hands. He puts them together. He's got a pretty good repertoire. He moves them around, likes to go to the body like a lot of Mexican fighters do. Gives up his height sometimes. That can be fan-friendly, too. You know, people like to see a guy engaging. He's giving up his height a little bit here.
Well, not only has Ramirez never lost a fight, but he's never really been rocked. And Lorenzo said, let's see what he's made of when he gets hit 2, 3, 4 times with some hard punches. We'll see how he reacts. But right now, it's Ramirez landing all the hard punches.
Yeah, it's Lorenzo, you know, being defensive-minded, trying to see if he can maybe get Ramirez into deep waters, test him, you know, survive early, make him miss early, make him start to wonder about what he's in there with now. Maybe wonder about, maybe I'm in there with a better level opponent now. Get a little doubt in there, and then Lorenzo hopes he can use his experience later on. That experience of having fought for the world title.
Ramirez being warned to keep his punches up.
Again, if you're tall and long like Ramirez, I'd like to teach him to set those feet a little better, keep that range, you know, keep that height. But right now, he doesn't have to. He's going inside, he's going close, and he's getting the job done. But that time he did get close, and he got touched a little.
We are live at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, Nevada. You're watching our main event between Gilberto Ramirez and Giovanni Lorenzo. The super middleweight division, 168 pounds. Ramirez, as good as advertised in the first round. And Lorenzo a little wobbly in the final 5 to 10 seconds. And this, at least the question that Lorenzo was asking, is this too much too soon? He's not ready for me, but how about that right hand snaps Lorenzo's head back like a Pez dispenser. And now Lorenzo willing to just stand up against the ropes.
Ramirez 11 years younger. He looks younger, bigger, stronger, better. All but 2 of Ramirez's fights, Todd. 2 of his 27 fights have been in Mexico. This is his 3rd fight in the U.S. Hey, if you want to now at home say, is there any hope for Lorenzo? I'm going to give you a little hope. Ramirez has been on the floor before, and obviously he's undefeated. He has come off the floor to win. So he's shown those qualities that a fighter, and his people really want to see the character, what they call the character of a champion, or maybe the making of a champion. You get hurt, you come back.
And we know Lorenzo's got plenty of power, 25 knockouts in his 33 wins.
If Lorenzo is going to get it done, it's going to be with the right hand. I mean, that's where he has faith. That's where his power is. He loops the right hand, loads up with it a little bit. And what gives him a chance to really land that right hand is Ramirez. Ramirez, look, he gives up his height. Now, look, I know he's dominating. He's winning. He knows how to fight on the inside. You don't always see guys with long arms know how to fight on the inside. Riddick Bowe knew how to fight on the inside. That's how he beat Holyfield. A lot of people thought Holyfield beat him on the inside. So Ramirez knows how to go inside. But is that best for him? If I'm the trainer, I think I'm having him on the outside where there's no shot for Lorenzo to find him.
Lorenzo feels like he was in a very similar position that Ramirez is in right now. Lorenzo began 26-0 and then stepped up in competition against an older veteran, Raul Marquez, and that did not go so well. So Lorenzo hoping he can return the favor, so to speak, against Ramirez here tonight in Las Vegas. But right now, it's been all about the Mexican fighter, El Zurdo, the lefty Ramirez.
Again, the Mexican fighter looking good so far. We'll see how he finishes it up. But he's got to learn, I think, to use those great physical assets, that length and height on the outside, not always go into the trenches. You know, boxing makes plenty of mistakes. There's no doubt about it. You hear me talk about it a lot of times. But every once in a while, boxing gets it right. And you just know immediately that it's not only right, but it's going to change the sport. It's going to help the sport. It's going to make a huge difference in the sport. And they got it right hiring this man, David Berlin. They're hiring the New York attorney, David Berlin, as the new executive director of the New York State Athletic Commission. Will do just that, improve the sport. David Berlin has experience as a boxing manager. You can see it as someone who has helped administrate the running of the Dr. Atlas Foundation 3 gyms in New York City with over 600 kids. His passion for the sport, along with his vision for change and true care for the fighters, I think will ensure that the greatest city in the world will now be able to better promote and protect some of the greatest and bravest athletes in all of sports. It has been a long time, Todd, since I felt this optimistic about my sport.
Love to hear you end on a positive note, Teddy. So some good news coming out of the state of New York. Earlier tonight, I said we should go ask Ruslan Provodnikov who he thought would win tomorrow night between Bradley and Pacquiao, since Provodnikov fought Tim Bradley and trains with Manny Pacquiao on occasion. Bernardo Osuna went and asked the Russian fighter what he thought, and Provodnikov said that Manny Pacquiao will win tomorrow night. So I want to thank Bernardo for getting that information. The worst is when you tease something and you hope that it's going to happen and it doesn't happen. Makes me look bad. So Bernardo helped me look good for once.
Teamwork. Teamwork. It's supposed to be teamwork. When there's no teamwork, somebody wants individualism. Individualism. No good. Bad for the team. You remember that, don't you? Robert De Niro in that movie.
Well, Provodnikov's next fight is against Chris Algieri in June. Algieri's last fight was right here on Friday Night Fights. Another victory for him in the state of New Jersey, his own state.
Now here again, you see Ramirez, you know, on the inside, but he's not using his height. But he's landing big shots, you know, especially to the body, so he can't complain. But still, he's in close where the shorter man has a chance to land back. I think Ramirez should start looking for that uppercut. 2 punches, body and uppercut. Body and uppercut if I'm in Ramirez's corner, because Lorenzo is starting to buckle forward from those body shots.
And right now, Ramirez having his way with the veteran Lorenzo, who just cannot find an answer so far to the man billed as the next big thing out of Mexico, perhaps the next Canelo Alvarez. Going downstairs and then upstairs. A 15-1 favorite here in Las Vegas is Ramirez. Next week on Friday Night Fights, we head... Whoa! Hold on a second. Lorenzo in big trouble here. Might want to take a knee. He's just squatting down against the ropes, taking big punishment here. Can Ramirez finish him?
And if he's going to finish him, there it is. Body shot.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? Okay? Box!
Body language doesn't say okay. Maybe he shook his head. Lorenzo, okay. But the body language doesn't say okay.
Are you okay? That was low. Over there. Okay?
This is what Lorenzo needed. He needed this recovery time. He was in big trouble. Like you said, his body language was all wrong. And now, back into the fire. Ramirez stalking down Lorenzo, who's trying to survive round 3.
Body shots and uppercuts. That's what I'd be looking for in the corner of Ramirez.
Corona Extra brings us tonight's extra look, Teddy.
Well, let's take an extra look at that body work by Ramirez. Left hand down low. Couldn't really get a good shot of that, to be honest with you. We didn't see it. Take another look here. Left hand disappears into the body there. And then up top, you go downstairs, then you go upstairs.
We got an extra look at the extra look. And Lorenzo, thanks in part to that low blow, was able to survive round 3. But folks, he's in trouble here against Gilberto Ramirez, who in his first fight in Las Vegas is shining under the bright lights.
Lorenzo, a lot of problems. Although he only fought a month ago, he hasn't been very active. Before that, he only had 2 fights last year and only 1 in 2012. That inactivity and the ability of Ramirez not serving Lorenzo too well.
Lorenzo still back against the ropes. That strategy has not worked over the first 3.5 rounds, but he continues to do it, and Ramirez continues to tee off.
You just can't cover up and just take punches or even block punches because you handcuff yourself. And Ramirez knows your handcuffs, so he can keep putting them together. You got to move your head, make a punch miss, bang, throw right back. Then you don't let someone like Ramirez keep putting them on you. He's got to worry about incoming. Right now, Ramirez doesn't have to worry about incoming.
This has been Ramirez's dream since he was 12 years old, growing up on the streets. Didn't even have enough money to take the bus to train sometimes. But here he is on the verge of perhaps stardom.
The promoters for Ramirez, look, I said from the beginning that I figured that Ramirez could dominate this fight. So did the promoters. They picked an opponent in Lorenzo that has a good record that they feel their guy can handle and perhaps dominate on television and get served by beating a veteran who fought 2 times for the title. That was in the mind of the promoters when they made this match. So far, it looks like they were right.
Ramirez says his dream opponent would be Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and it looks like Ramirez might be ready for that fight right now. Ramirez completely dominant through the first 3 rounds, and here in the 4th as well. Put Lorenzo down in round 3.
I'd like to see a jab more from Ramirez. I know a lot of people say that he doesn't need it. He's landing all the power shots. But the jab, just like Foreman when he was knocking out Joe Frazier, that jab, that hard jab, it discombobulated Frazier. Didn't let him get himself together. Kept him off balance, kept him groggy. Then the power shots finished the job.
Usually it takes jabs a few rounds for you to see their work, but not for George Foreman. It took just a second or 2 to see how devastating they could be.
Yeah, his jab was like a log.
Corona Extra brings us tonight's extra look, and we go super slow-mo for it.
Yeah, there you can see it. The left hand gets in there right around somewhere near the liver area and does the damage.
I thought you would have a more specific, crazy name for that area. When you tell a fighter to target it, you say just go for his ribs?
No, actually, that side, the other side is the ribs. You know, ribs on both sides, I know. But the right side, more ribs you're thinking about. But when you throw the left hook on the left side, the liver's over there. And if you can aim it over there and you can really target into that, boy, oh boy, that is a difficult punch to overcome.
Oscar De La Hoya could tell you all about trying to get up from that type of punch.
Oh, yes, he can. And you're right. Bernard Hopkins laid that on him.
Next week, Friday Night Fights heads back to the Turning Stone Casino for the semifinals of our middleweight Boxino tournament. Do not miss it. 9 Eastern on ESPN.
You know, Lorenzo's been involved in some head clashes. You can see it. He leans forward that head a little bit. Ramirez cut over his right eye 4 fights ago. You can see that there's always a chance that that can happen with Ramirez. Even though he's tall, even though he's long, he gets in those trenches.
Lorenzo has plenty of pop in his punches normally. Tonight, we haven't seen that.
Yeah, I think the reason for it is, you know, it's one thing having power, but it's another thing having a delivery system to land that power with a certain level of fighter. And I said it early, throughout his career, Lorenzo has never shown that delivery system and ability when he has stepped up to a higher level of opponent. And tonight, he has stepped up to a higher level opponent, and he always falls short when he makes that step up.
And you can see there that Lorenzo's right glove touched the mat. That is considered a knockdown.
Okay.
Again, a little nod of okay, but not very convincing nod of okay. And the body language of Lorenzo says not so okay.
And Ramirez just relentless, continuing to pressure. And again, it appeared the glove touched the canvas, but no.
And you're right, it did touch the, you know, that was a delayed reaction from the left hand to the body.
It almost looks like Lorenzo wants to get out of this fight, but doesn't quite know how to do it in a valiant way.
And that's not a bad evaluation of what you're looking at right
And
here.
again,
Knockdown. 3, 4, 5. Go over there. Stay there. 6, 7.
I think the corner wants to stop it. The corner of Lorenzo wants to stop this fight. They're going to stop it.
and there's his way out as Ramirez moves his way up the ladder. An impressive performance here in our main event. 28-0 is Gilberto Ramirez, his 22nd knockout. Teddy, how good can Ramirez be?
I want to see him in with, you know, somebody a little bit more, maybe less shop one. Lorenzo, 33 years old. Yes, he fought for a world title 2 times. We said it. But a little shop one. He had lost 4 of his last 8. Ramirez got the job done. Take nothing away from him. I like his size. I like what I can picture and envision that he can be, especially if he learns a little discipline on how to control the outside and use his height a little bit better. But again, in there with a 33-year-old Lorenzo, got the job done. I'd like to see him in there with somebody maybe with a little more left in the tank than Lorenzo.
Ramirez coming from a small town outside Mazatlan, Mexico, all the way to the Mecca of boxing, Las Vegas, Nevada, on national television. An impressive victory for Gilberto Ramirez over a 2-time world title challenger, Giovanni Lorenzo. It couldn't have gone much better for the 22-year-old.
Now, again, I like him. You know, he throws a lot of punches, goes to the body. You gotta love a guy that goes to the body, puts them together pretty well. On top of all that, he's a lefty. He's a southpaw.
Ramirez told us he wants to be the first super middleweight Mexican champion. He's still got a long ways to go for that to happen. But nevertheless, baby steps now, and Ramirez, with his toughest challenge to date, passes that test with flying colors.
Take a look at the finish of this fight here. There, the glove goes down. You know, he hadn't really been hurt there. He had been hurt earlier. The punches threw him back. But you saw the body language. He was defeated already. The corner did the compassionate thing. They did the right thing. They knew that their fighter was done mentally, done physically. They threw the white towel in.
All right, for the official confirmation of what we just saw, let's send it into the ring, Lupe Contreras.
Ladies and gentlemen, the request of the red corner referee, Jay Nady, calls a halt to this contest with an official time of 2 minutes, 47 seconds of round number 5. Your winner, and now NABO and NABF super middleweight champion, El Zurdo, Gilberto Ramirez.
Is Ramirez perhaps the next big thing out of Mexico, Teddy?
Can't say it yet. You know, he has potential. You like what you see. You want to see him continue to develop. He's already got 28 fights. I want to see him in, as I said earlier, with somebody with more in the tank, more spritey, more of a challenge than Lorenzo.
He's got the looks, he's got the style. We'll see if he's got the wherewithal. Coming up next, another live fight, this time from the featherweight division when we return.